Hello. Can you guys hear me? To turn that off because that's actually going to be distracting. Okay, that's great that you guys can hear me. So, hello. I kind of want to wait a little bit longer for more people to show up just in case they have questions for me. But obviously, today we are talking Lazarus because Toonami Squad graciously got in. Sorry, I'm like processing my thoughts right now. We got in the first batch of episodes for Lazarus, and I am curious if the community has any questions on it, whether or not it's worth their time, whether or not you have any pressing issues with it, whether or not you have any specific questions. Just ask, and I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. I also want to make this very clear that we will not be discussing story spoilers because obviously it's a brand new show. I do not want to discuss spoilers, and I want you to experience the show for what it is. I'm gonna probably step away in like 15 minutes or so because I have a timer going for something, but it should be good. So yeah, we'll wait a few more minutes just for more people to get in. If you have any questions, please ask away, and I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. Sorry, I had to step away for a second. But, you know, seems like I didn't really miss a whole lot. I guess if we aren't going to get questions, I guess I'll give my brief thoughts on Lazarus itself. I did a review, and if you just want to know the basics of it all, I really enjoyed Lazarus. It was a really great show for the episodes that were provided to me by Adult Swim. Um, I don't know if I'm like over the moon with it yet, but I did enjoy what I watched. I think it is going to be a show that Toonami viewers are going to really enjoy a lot of. Because if you enjoyed Watanabe's previous outings with Cowboy Bebop, Samurai Champloo, and Space Dandy, I think that you will definitely enjoy this. I don't. I want to like preface this, just in case. Like this show, to me, is not Cowboy Bebop 2. This is not trying to be more Cowboy Bebop. So if you're going into this expecting, oh, this is going to be like Cowboy Bebop, no, this doesn't. This has no feel like Cowboy Bebop. This isn't going to be Cowboy Bebop 2. I think I mentioned in my review that it more feels like a spiritual sequel to Terror and Resonance. And that series was a serialized story from beginning to end. So that story is what is being told to the audience. So if you are hoping that this will be like episodic, you don't have to worry about it going from week to week, thinking that you're going to miss an episode, and you're going to be in for a rude awakening with that. Lazarus is a serialized narrative from beginning to end. I did read a couple reviews that were like, "Oh, it's kind of episodic," and like, "What are you? Did we watch the same show, my brother?" It's very clearly trying to tell you a story. But if you haven't read our review, please go check that out. It is, I'm very proud of it. I think I did a very good job of putting down my thoughts, while also putting complaints down, because I don't think it's perfect. No show is perfect. But I think Lazarus is going to be a great show. At least, you know, fingers crossed the rest of it lands. We only got a handful of episodes in, so I don't really know how the rest of it shakes out. But considering that they're willing to give access to 5 episodes, I think that's a very good sign of like, hey, we're confident that this product is going to land with people. Oh, sorry. Had to yawn there. I guess we don't really have a whole lot of people in the chat looking for questions. At least I'm not seeing any. How many viewers do we have? Oh, wow. Amazing. There's more people than I thought. Huh. Well, I guess if we don't really have questions, I guess we can just kind of discuss Lazarus as a whole. Um, Obviously, this is going to not have spoilers. So, I guess I would like to talk about some of the characters in the show. There's Axel, who is I don't. You can't see my mouse. Basically, if you look at the image on the bottom, the guy in red background, whatever you want to call it, that's Axel. He is a very interesting character. I would say like he is probably my favorite out of all of them. I believe the kid's name is Lilade. The woman with blonde hair, her name is Christine, but they just call her Chris in the show. The African man in the top right corner, that is, or top left corner, is named Doug. And then Elena, who's the woman beneath Doug, is the is is the hacker of the group. Very introverted person, very much nerdy, I guess. Knows how to get across like security systems and stuff like that. I think for it being sort of like in like classic like Watanabe show standards, these characters are very diverse, very interesting. I do hope that in future episodes they do a bit more by, how do I put this, giving more story to these characters. They do drop hints here and there. They do show the audience little things about these characters, and then there's like one specific scene, you'll know what I'm talking about, where they literally just explain to you a character's backstory. But I think this show does a very good job of making sure each character stands out on their own, but also still be fairly interesting. So I would say the reason I like Axel the most is because I think he's the one that gets the most attention. He's the one I feel is the most fleshed out and three-dimensional as a character. Not to say that the other characters aren't fleshed out or they aren't well developed. They are. But I feel like the focus on Axel is what makes me interested into him, because I think I wrote in my review that he's more like interested in the thrill of it all. Because if you watch the show, you may pick up on that he's kind of like indifferent to everything. Like, he took Hapna. He's in the same situation as everyone else. But it doesn't seem like he really cares. In fact, he doesn't really care at all. He's not interested in saving the world. He's only doing it because it's against his will. But really, he gets a kick out of it. He is very much a thrill seeker. He loves being in danger. He loves challenging himself. And I think that's very fascinating as his character arc. I just really hope that the other characters are more developed over the course of the next 6 episodes or so. Actually, it would be 6 episodes because the season is only 13. 13 episodes long. Oh, hold on a second. All right, I'm back. Sorry about that. I had a timer going on for something. Steve, how are we looking? Okay. From the small sample size you had, do you think 13 episodes will be enough? That's a good question. I really don't No, it's all dependent on what is Watanabe going for, and is 13 episodes enough to tell his story that he wants to tell. I can tell you from watching Terror and Resonance that 11 episodes was not enough to tell the story that he wanted to tell in that. And maybe that's a fault on Fuji Television's part because that was a part of the Notanama. I think I pronounced that incorrectly, but it was part of the Notanama block. And yeah, I think it's Notanama, Noitima, whichever one. It's part of Notanama. The Terror Resident was part of that block, and then Terror Resident was a part of that block. And normally those shows can fluctuate between 11 to 24 to 25 to 26 episodes. It's all dependent on the production committee and how much they actually want to greenlight for a season of television. But I think 13, I mean, we'll see what happens. I think it might be enough because I think for what they are going for, I think the story definitely kicks into gear from episode 1 and it doesn't stop. So the moment that you watch the first episode, everything just kicks it into high gear and it doesn't let go. So I hope that answers that question. Oh boy. Hey, Samster, how's it going? Is if there will be mechs. Um, Maybe. I don't know. I really don't know. Because we were only into the first 5 episodes, and for the first 5 episodes, there are no mechs. But when you get to episode 6, there'll probably be a mech in there, so you never know. That's a joke. It's a joke. I don't know. We'll see what happens. Oh boy. Don't want this to just be nothing but dead air. So, I don't know. If you want to know my thoughts on the OST, it's fantastic. Oh my god, the music in this show is fantastic. Um, I've been a fan of Bonobo since I heard his music used in an old Space Dandy bump back in 2014. I bought Black Sands on iTunes. I love that album. I love his music in general. He's just a fantastic musician. Um, so just hearing that he was going to work on a Shinichiro Watanabe show, I'm like, oh, that piqued my interest really fast. Um, But yeah, the music in the show absolutely fantastic. You'll notice it from like the very start from the very beginning that you start the show. The music is just wonderful. Every little small piece that you hear in the show as background music just feels incredibly huge, and also just incredibly calming, and just, but when it wants to like kick up in tension, it absolutely kicks up in tension. It is just a fantastic soundtrack. And obviously, like, other people worked on it. Floating Points and Kasami. Is it Kasami Washington? Kamasai. I, I think I butchered that. I'm so sorry. Kamasai Washington. Like, the other two artists I'm very unfamiliar with, so I can't really speak on them. But I will say, like, hey, the soundtrack, it hits. It hits really goddamn hard. It's a very good soundtrack. I guess people just don't have questions. Oh, how was the production and action and visuals? Okay, to break this down, the production is fantastic. It was produced by Studio Mappa. If you're familiar with their work, they handled Jujutsu Kaisen. Um, so many. They handled the new Ranma show and a bunch of other shows that you're probably familiar with. And this is, without a doubt, one of their best looking and best animated shows that they have produced. And that says a whole lot. Oh, more people are coming in. Howdy, howdy. So if I'm talking about from a production standpoint, it's a gorgeous show. Just the animation and everything about it is just wonderful. And then and the action sequences, oh my god, they're so good too. Um, I think Adult Swim uploaded the prison escape scene from episode 1. That scene is fantastic, but there is a scene that I'm not going to spoil, but it's from episode 4. You probably hear episode 4 is like described as like one of the best episodes because a bunch of reviewers pointed it out in their reviews. And yeah, oh my god, when you get to, you'll know what the scene I'm talking about because it is jaw-dropping. It is gorgeous. It is one of the best looking scenes that I have seen all year so far. I think Lazarus is just a beautiful, beautiful show. It's well animated. It's well directed. The pacing and timing of everything is just fantastic. I think it's just immaculately produced. And hey, I'm glad, Nox, that you're excited for Lazarus. I walked into it with no expectations and was pleasantly surprised that it came out really good. Just as a reminder, if you guys have any questions, just put it in the chat and I will read it for you. Okay? Will there be any reference to Bebop or Dandy? As far as I could tell, the answer is no. I don't really buy the whole, oh, this is all set in the same universe. Like, maybe it is, maybe it's not. I mean, I personally think like these things can exist without some type of connection with another thing. And to me, Watanabe crafted a show that is clearly trying to like, with the opening, you'll know that they're trying to invoke a feel of Bebop, but in reality, they're more trying to do their own thing and trying to do its own story. So I think for the 5 episodes, there were no references to Cowboy Bebop or its characters or Dandy or any of that. So any other shows like Space Dandy or Bebop. I don't think they'll reference it in the show. It'd be funny if you just see Spike Spiegel just sitting in the background as a background character once, but I don't think they're going to do that. I think Watanabe is very clear in that he doesn't want to just rely on just one thing. Okay, how does Lazarus compare to a show like Common Side Effects that also drews? So, Common Side Effects and Lazarus are both are great pieces to put next to each other because they both tackle similar themes, and the themes that they tackle are pretty similar. They talk about capitalism, the evils of corporations, and the health industries, but Common Side Effects is more of a drama. It is more focused on being dramatic. It's about sending the viewer on this emotional roller coaster, which I think Toonami viewers will get to experience very soon, which is fun. No spoilers. So Common Side Effects is more interested in keeping you interested and on the edge of your seat at every moment possible, whereas Lazarus is more interested of getting you to the action. What I mean by that is that Lazarus has setups to where it gets to its final moments of action, where it has moments of downtime with talking with these characters, getting to know them more, having them interact with each other, but it also is very interested of, okay, we're just setting this up so we get you to the next set piece. So that's kind of like a huge difference with the show. And obviously, like, it's not the exact same theme. And obviously, it's going for something completely different. Whereas with Common Side Effects, the whole blue mushroom thing, like, that is very different from Hapna. Because as far as we know, the mushroom does not kill people in Common Side Effects. But in Lazarus, Hapna is deadly, is very deadly. So it's so easy to compare the two, but they are two completely different shows. And for Nox, how many episodes will there be? So I believe in every press release for Lazarus, the show is going to be 13 episodes long. Is the second season possible? I mean, maybe. I I generally don't know. It's all dependent on if Watanabe believes that there's more story to tell, but I would think that for the most part, I think this is a one and done. I mean, they could get more. I have absolutely no idea if it will. I would place money down that, hey, Lazarus is going to be a one and done. It's going to be 13 episodes, and that's it. But maybe they'll greenlight another Watanabe show down the road. I don't know. I tend to think that this show will do very well for Adult Swim. Turn that down a notch. Are the 3D CG background? There's not really much CGI in this show. It seems to be all hand-drawn animation. If there is CGI used in the show, it might be sparingly, or it's all well implemented that I couldn't tell the difference. I think for the most part, though, this show is all hand-drawn. And yes, I believe on April 11th, and I think I have that correct. On April 11th, I believe the official soundtrack will release for Lazarus. Um, I have no clue if that includes like a physical release, like a CD or vinyl, but I think they mentioned April 11th. I think. I could be wrong on that. I'll go for a little bit longer and then we'll call it a day. So if you got any more questions, let me know. That's a good question. For those who are worried about the what some are saying Toonami original curse, what would you say to them to convince them to give Lazarus a chance? I would say this. I understand after Uzumaki of walking into this show with a lot of trepidation, but never bet against the house. If you've ever gambled, never bet against the house. I think Watanabe has a legitimately great show on his hand. Now, obviously, we don't know what the rest of the show will look like, so we'll have to wait on that. But I am hard pressed to believe after the sample of 5 episodes that I was given, it's going to be anything less but great. Not amazing, just great. But obviously, I want you to come to your own conclusion in the show. So Lazarus is what you make of it and whether or not you get the most out of it, whether you like it or not. I think most Toonami viewers who watch it are going to love it. It is a great show, and I think people should give it a chance. If not, like I get it. I get it, you know. Been burned so many times by these originals and they're not really all that amazing. But give it a shot. I think you'll like it. And as for the other question, any extra line, action-based or romantic? So Lazarus' story, Nox, is a drama action show, meaning that much like Bebop, there's going to be a lot of dramatic moments set up with action set pieces. But unlike Bebop, it is not an episodic storyline. It is a serialized story that is being told from beginning to end. So, meaning you have to watch these episodes in order. As far as I can tell, there is like no romance subplot or anything. It does deal with a lot more heavy themes, if that makes any sense. You'll know what I am talking about when you get to episode 4. I think that's the episode I'm thinking of. Yeah, I think so. But like all Watanabe shows, is incredibly progressive, very forward-thinking. It is very well done. I don't think he tries to beat you over the head with allegories or anything about social commentary about the world itself. He is very clever and smart on how he wants to deliver that content. So if you are worried about trying to think like, oh, he went woke or whatever, that's not the case here. It's a very thoughtful and very well thought out series. No, yeah, please ask away questions. That's what I'm here for. Okay, okay. You're asking if the show has a lot of parkour moments. Um, mm, yeah, I would say so. It has like a few parkour moments where you see the characters jumping from high ledges and buildings and stuff like that. Um, I don't think it's something that's a major focus, I would say, but I would say like for there's going to be a couple scenes in particular that I think are going to be really jaw jumping, dropping. You will see them in episode 1 and in episode 4. Again, you will know what I am talking about when you get to them. Um, and yes, Axel is his name. That's the guy you're thinking of in the trailer. I get a similar vibe to Spike Spiegel from Axel. Do you see any similarities and or differences from the two? I see a little bit of the similarities to Spike, but I never really compared the two because to me, Axel is his own character. This isn't Watanabe looking at like, oh well, people like Spike for this reason and this reason, so we'll just recreate him. No, this is a completely new character. He is nothing like Spike Spiegel, other than he's like a troublemaker. Kind of seems to be very much interested in just being free, quote unquote free. Like he doesn't like being enclosed into areas, but he's also like very much in the thrill of just getting in danger and all that stuff. But I don't really think Axel is just Spike Spiegel too, because I think that's unfair to the character. I I think Axel is a great character, probably the one that is like the most fleshed out of everyone in the cast. That's not saying less of everyone else, obviously. I've mentioned that before, but he is the one that gets a lot of focus on, and for good reason. He is very fascinating to follow from episode 1 to episode 5 that I got to. So, I guess I answered Knox's question. It's like, out of all the characters in the show, which one was my personal favorite? Personal favorite was Axel. Runner up would be Christine. And then third would be Doug for favorite characters. Do you think that could be his second best work? I mean, we'll have to see how the rest of Lazarus plays out. I personally think it has the chance to be as good as Space Dandy. Actually, it could be as good as like Samurai Champloo, because Space Dandy is phenomenal. And while I like this show a lot, I don't think of it as like phenomenal. It's just great. It's a great show. Um, I think it could be better in certain areas, but I mean like it's not like a detriment to the show itself. So I think it has the possibility of being like a great show for Adult Swim. His probably one of his best works. We'll see what happens when the rest of the thing airs. I think I will take a couple more questions and then I will dip out of here for today. So if you got any more questions, just let me know and I will try and answer them to the best of my abilities. What age is Axel in the show? I don't actually think they ever gave character ages in the show, unless I wasn't really like paying attention. Um, Axel seems to be like in his 20s, maybe. Leyland might be 14, 15. Elena might be that same age. Doug might be in his late 20s, early 30s. Christine might be late 20s, early 30s. I really don't know because I don't think they ever detailed that in the show itself. So, unless I missed something, which is very possible. It's very possible I missed something. But as far as I'm aware, they never gave out characters' ages. But yeah, if I were to make guesses, I think they might be like 20s to like teens. Is kind of like the guess. And Phantom, I talked about the music earlier, but I can reiterate the music in this show is fantastic. Bonobo, fantastic. Floating Points, fantastic. Kasami, I'm pretty sure I pronounced his name wrong. Kasami Washington, I'm so sorry. But it's fantastic. It's fantastic soundtrack. Fantastic. Now you're good, Phantom. If Lazarus OST gets a vinyl press, are you getting it? Yeah. Yeah. Like, inject it into my veins, like, right now. I want that OST. I'll get it digitally, and I'll buy a vinyl, because, oh my god, I want to listen to that on my stereo over here, because I really, oh my god, I can't wait for you guys to hear the music in this show. Like, even if this show doesn't turn out to be amazing from beginning to end, I want to say this will probably be, like, the best soundtrack from any Toonami original. Like, by far. Like, there's just no comparing it. Like, get out of here, Pillows with the Fooly Cooly stuff. This soundtrack here slaps. It's fucking great. I think, well, if you have one more question, I'll take it. And then after that, I'll just head out for the day. Thank you all so much for joining me for this little short Q&A session. For anybody who's watching still, thank you so much for turning out to this, even if you weren't asking questions in the chat. Maybe we can do this again at some point in the future for something else. Maybe Rooster Fighter or another show. Or maybe we can do like podcast live at one point. But we'll see. We'll see. I'm not promising anything. So if you have one more question, I'm willing to take it. Is the script messy or is it boring? No, it's actually very tightly written. You can tell that from like the episode 1 to episode 5, is that it's a very well told story. It's very well directed. I feel like most people are going to really agree, like, the script is really good. So the story, I based in my reviews that the only comparison to Bebop is that it's set in sci-fi, but Bebop is more fantasy sci-fi, fantasy / hard sci-fi. So this is like taking place very distant in the future, where, you know, humanity has colonized on different planets. This is not that. So this one, Lazarus, is more focused on Earth in itself. So the sci-fi angle comes from the fact of the real world science that comes from like drug use, medical companies and stuff like that. And then obviously it's also set in a distant future. So it is going for a completely different thing than Cowboy Bebop is, where this is sci-fi, but it's not Bebop sci-fi. It is doing its own thing like everything else. And I think with that, I am going to call it. So I want to thank everybody for churning out. Yeah, maybe we can do this again at some point in the future. No promises, but hopefully we can do this a little bit more. Um, yeah, this stream was never going to spoil anything, but thank you all so much for coming out. Maybe we can do this again in the future. No promises. Um, Hopefully you guys all enjoy Lazarus. It premieres this Saturday at midnight on Toonami. So I hope you guys have a nice evening, and hopefully you have a nice rest of your day. Thanks for stopping by. Bye-bye.